Leon Edwards is eyeing a return to the octagon before the year is out, with the former UFC welterweight champion targeting November for his comeback. After some time away from active competition, Edwards confirmed in a recent interview that Madison Square Garden, the host of UFC 320 in November, is at the top of his list for venues, hinting that he wants to feature on the same card as Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. The 32-year-old made his name in one of the most iconic moments in UFC history, stunning Kamaru Usman with a head-kick knockout to claim the welterweight crown. He went on to defend the belt successfully twice, but momentum stalled after setbacks against Belal Muhammad and Sean Brady. Those losses exposed gaps in his game and led to renewed doubts about whether Edwards can truly regain his old form and make another push toward the top. Still, Edwards isn't shying away from the challenge. Speaking shortly after watching his brother Fabian score a highlight reel knockout in PFL, Rocky said the fire to return is burning strong. He's been staying sharp by training alongside Fabian and insists he feels ready for another run. Dricus du Plessis is determined to treat his defeat at UFC 319 not as the end of his story, but as a stepping stone towards something bigger. Earlier this month, du Plessis saw his unbeaten UFC run and middleweight championship reign come to an end when he was dominated over 5 rounds by Khamzat Chimaev. The South African simply could not solve the puzzle of Chimaev's relentless pressure and smothering wrestling. Boers dictated nearly every moment of the fight, piling up takedowns and controlling du Plessis on the mat en route to a wide unanimous decision win, scored 50-44 across the board. Although du Plessis showed flashes late in the bout, including a spirited rally in the 5th round where he landed several clean shots, the damage was already done. Chimaev's overwhelming grappling left little room for the defending champion to execute his own game plan, and by the end of 25 minutes, his middleweight belt had slipped away. For du Plessis, however, the loss has sparked a renewed hunger. In his first public comments since the setback, the former champion released a statement on Instagram, reflecting on what the defeat means to him, and how he plans to turn it into fuel for the future. "It's been just over a week, and I have spent some time with my family and friends, those closest to me who will be with me win or lose," du Plessis wrote. "I embrace this loss with open arms, because believe me, as much as I hate losing, it's as much part of life as part of our game, and I believe it's necessary in my pursuit of greatness. Without the bitter, the sweet wouldn't be as sweet. Make no mistake, I'm not a good loser, because a good loser becomes a frequent one. I am, however, an avid learner of the arts, and of life itself. This loss has exploded a desire in me that will have the consequence of an onslaught bigger than the original domination. My return to glory and pursuit of greatness will be unimaginable for the average-minded. I have absolutely no excuses for my performance. I was beaten by a better fighter on the night. Congratulations to my opponent, and thank you for the honor of sharing the octagon with you." The South African also took the opportunity to thank his supporters, and even those rooting against him, while reaffirming his faith. "Thank you for all the love and support from fans all over the world, and my sponsors that always have and will continue to play a critical role in my success. And sincerely, thank you to all those who enjoyed seeing me fall, because I will return the favor, like I always have. I believe in the plan of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for he knows best, and I can't wait to see what he has planned for me going forward." Du Plessis leaves behind an impressive run as champion, one that included an unbroken 9-fight win streak in the UFC before the loss. His resume featured highlight victories over former champions Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya, followed by the crowning moment at UFC 297 when he dethroned Sean Strickland to claim middleweight gold. He would go on to defend his title twice before finally succumbing to Chimaev's dominant grappling at UFC 319. Now 30 years old, and still firmly in his prime, du Plessis remains a central figure in the middleweight division. While he no longer wears the crown, his competitive fire and history of resilience suggest that the loss to Chimaev may only serve as the beginning of a determined climb back toward the top. Deiveson Figueiredo is set for a crucial comeback fight, as the former two-time UFC flyweight champion will make his return on October 11th at UFC Rio, where he'll face the surging Montel Jackson. The matchup, first reported by ESPN Brazil, comes at a pivotal point in the Brazilian's career following his recent struggles at bantamweight. Figueiredo, once regarded as one of the most dangerous finishers at 125 pounds, moved up to 135 in late 2023 and initially found success with 3 consecutive wins. However, his momentum stalled when he dropped back-to-back fights against former champion Petr Yan and then Corey Sandhagen, the latter fight ending with a knee injury that forced him onto the sidelines. The loss to Sandhagen was particularly damaging, marking the first time Reinier De Ridder had ever suffered 2 straight defeats inside the octagon. Now healthy again, Figueiredo looks to re-establish himself in one of the UFC's most competitive divisions. His decorated resume includes 4 unforgettable battles with Brandon Moreno, which produced one of the most iconic rivalries in UFC history and cemented his place as a fan favorite. On the other side of the cage will be Montel Jackson, who has quietly been putting together a strong run. Riding a 6-fight win streak, Jackson most recently defeated Daniel Marcos by decision at UFC Des Moines, showcasing both composure and consistency. His size, reach, and technical striking present a unique challenge for Figueiredo, who is aiming to prove he can still thrive among the elite at bantamweight. UFC Rio will be a massive night for Brazilian MMA fans, headlined by Charles Oliveira's return against Rafael Fiziev. With the card taking place at Farmácia Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Figueiredo will not only be fighting to snap his losing skid, but also to deliver a statement win in front of a home crowd that has supported him throughout his storied career. For the former champ, this bout represents more than just a comeback. It's an opportunity to show that Reinier De Ridder is still a force to be reckoned with in a division filled with killers. Khamzat Chimaev continued his unbeaten rise by capturing the UFC Middleweight Championship at UFC 319, extending his record to a perfect 15-0. The 31-year-old delivered a trademark display of suffocating grappling in the main event, overwhelming former champion Dricus du Plessis in front of a raucous crowd on August 16th. The victory solidified Chimaev's standing as one of the sport's premier pound-for-pound fighters, but not everyone is convinced his reign at 185 pounds will be untouchable. Longtime UFC commentator Joe Rogan, speaking during the post-fight broadcast, praised Chimaev's performance, but quickly pointed to a new face in the division who could test the champion in ways few others have: Reinier De Ridder. The Dutch grappler has wasted no time since crossing over from one championship. In less than a year, De Ridder has compiled a 4-0 record inside the octagon, with wins that immediately vaulted him into the top 5 of the middleweight rankings. He returns in October against Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez, a fight UFC President Dana White has already suggested could determine the next challenger for Chimaev's belt. Rogan highlighted De Ridder's versatile threat as the kind of challenge that could trouble Chimaev. Reinier De Ridder in particular, given his ability to grapple on the ground and also his ability to land shots standing, Rogan said, particularly that knee he lands. That is nasty. Toughness, experience, he throws those combinations with that long lead-in knee. He's interesting. It's not just Rogan who sees danger for Chimaev in the surging Dutchman. Former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold also gave his assessment of potential threats to the undefeated star, and while he mentioned Paulo Costa as another difficult stylistic matchup, he ultimately echoed Rogan's sentiment. In reality, I like De Ridder. He's probably the #1 choice for this thing, for sure, Rockhold said, noting that Costa's defensive wrestling and physicality would present problems, but De Ridder's all-around skill set and submission pedigree make him a unique test. With Chimaev now holding the title and De Ridder on the verge of potentially earning a shot, the UFC middleweight division appears poised for a fascinating clash of dominant grappling styles. For all of Chimaev's aura of invincibility, voices like Rogan's and Rockhold's suggest the path ahead could hold its most dangerous opponent yet in Reinier De Ridder. Brandon Moreno has confirmed that he will not be competing at the upcoming Noche UFC event on September 13th. The third annual Noche UFC, which celebrates Mexican fighting heritage and coincides with Mexican Independence Day, was originally scheduled to take place in Guadalajara, Mexico, but was later moved to San Antonio, Texas. Despite being one of the sport's most prominent Mexican fighters, Moreno revealed that he has not received an official fight offer for the card. Speaking candidly about his situation, he stated, "September 13th is Noche UFC, but I don't have nothing. Don't have any official offer from these guys. So, that's why I'm trying to take advantage of this free time to get better." Moreno emphasized his eagerness to stay active, adding, "But at the same time, man, I'm dying trying to get into a fight. I can be the champion again." The former two-time UFC flyweight champion has been navigating a period of uncertainty in the division, often referred to as a flyweight limbo, as he waits for his next opportunity to challenge for the title. With back-to-back victories over Amir Albazi and Steve Erteg, Moreno continues to position himself as a top contender, and fans are anticipating when he will get another chance to fight for gold. For now, Moreno is focused on using the downtime to improve and stay ready for the next fight offer, keeping his sights firmly set on reclaiming the flyweight championship. Islam Makhachev is preparing for the biggest transition of his career, but he's beginning to accept that his days competing at lightweight may be behind him for good. The former UFC lightweight champion, who vacated his belt earlier this year in pursuit of a second title, is expected to challenge Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight crown before the end of 2025. While the matchup hasn't been finalized, reports suggest a November date at Madison Square Garden in New York is the likely landing spot. Makhachev has long been considered one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the sport, but the move to 170 pounds raises questions about whether he'll ever return to the division where he built his legacy. Speaking at an Eagle FC press conference, the Dagestani standout admitted that the cut to 155 pounds has always been brutal, and the idea of dropping back down might no longer be realistic as his body continues to grow into the higher division. "I don't know, it's always been difficult," Makhachev said when asked about a potential return to lightweight. "Now I'll see how much I gain after the fight. If after the fight, in a month my weight is the same, then we can talk about it. If the weight increases and it was not easy anyway, I think we will have to sit down with the team to talk." Makhachev's comments come during a time of change at lightweight. Ilia Topuria shocked the world at UFC 317 when he flattened Charles Oliveira in the first round to claim the vacant championship. Makhachev previously brushed off the idea of facing Topuria, insisting the Spaniard needed to prove himself at 155 before earning a mention. Now, with the belt in Topuria's hands, Makhachev is more open to the idea. "I can't say for sure. There's some intrigue with Topuria," Makhachev said. "I'm also interested in that fight. Maybe it will be possible to make some kind of super fight." The possibility of a super fight between Makhachev and Topuria would generate massive intrigue, especially given Makhachev's dominance at lightweight before his move up. However, the logistical hurdle remains whether he can or should make the grueling cut again. His team will need to carefully consider the risks of draining down versus building his frame fully into welterweight, particularly if he captures the 170-pound belt. Should he defeat Della Maddalena, Makhachev would join the rare group of fighters to hold UFC titles in 2 weight classes. That achievement would give him the flexibility to call for crossover bouts with names like Topuria or even middleweight champion Khamzat Chimaev, further boosting his profile as one of the sport's true superstars. On the flip side, if his body fully adapts to welterweight, it may close the door on 155 permanently, cementing the next chapter of his career at a higher weight. For now, the focus remains on Della Maddalena, who has emerged as one of the most dangerous strikers in the welterweight division. The Australian has built momentum with his precision boxing and toughness, and many see him as a stern test for Makhachev's grinding style. A win for Makhachev would set the stage for historic opportunities, but a loss could derail his ambitions of becoming a 2-division champion. Either way, the upcoming fight could serve as the turning point that defines whether Islam Makhachev's future lies in cementing a new legacy at welterweight or attempting one last grueling run at the division he once ruled.